Hi everyone, welcome back to my top 500 games. We are currently at number 182, which is Prince of Persia, and I am referring to the 2008 reboot, not the original game. This is a game which I believe is panned by many, but also praised by some, although it's quite a strange game to talk about really. This was the second platinum trophy I ever got was for this game. I played this game around 2009, but I think I played it during the start of 2010. I may have played it a little bit in 2009, I'm not sure, but I definitely played it at the start of 2010, and I had quite a bit of fun with it. The way that this game works fundamentally is that it's sort of like a platform action adventure type game, apart from the combat is terrible, and really the combat only exists for the sake of having combat in it, I believe. The way that it works is that you have the central area, and then from that point you have 4 different branches, each leading to their own individual paths, and on each path is one of the 4 main bosses. So there's the Hunter, the Alchemist, the Concubine, and the big stone thing. Obviously it's not called the big stone thing, but I don't really remember what it's called. Is it the Guardian or something? Maybe? Something like that. But combat is very basic. You can't lose. You really can't. You can get knocked down over and over again, but the only thing that you will lose by being knocked out or something is that the boss will recover some of its health. So it's just basically a case of chipping away at its health eventually over time. It is terrible, trust me, it is terrible. The combat is just awful. And you've got these different button combinations to do different attacks, and different bosses will have different abilities, so one of them might grab you a lot, in which you have to do a quick time event in order to escape, or some of them you may not be able to do damage until you do a specific thing. But combat is as basic as it could possibly be, and that even goes for the final boss and all that as well. But the main core of this game is the platforming and the exploration. You have each of these different spots on the map, and like I said at the start, you've got these 4 different directions that you can go, and you will reach one point on each of them where Elika can do this big thing, and all of the flowers will come back, everything will bloom, and then all of the light seeds will appear, and each area has a set amount of light seeds that you can collect. Also, what you can do is you can get these different abilities, but the abilities are usually just a case of getting the ability and then finding the panel which activates the ability and then have that thing act out for you. In terms of traversing and actually getting around the different areas, the way that that works is that you have a few simple button commands. So for example, you have the X button to jump, and I'm going to use PS3 controls here because that's what I played it on. You have X button to jump, you have the triangle button to let Elika grab you and push you along a bit extra, so kind of like a double jump thing. And you can also press circle to grab on a thing, and so usually each individual segment will be comprised of these individual little challenges. So you may have a bit where you have to run across the roof and you'll have these hoops that you have to grab, and so basically the way that works is that you go onto the pole that you're near, press X to jump off it, and then press circle about the time you get to all of the loops. And then if there's like an extra large jump at the end, you'll have to press X and then triangle to get Elika to push you across. Everything is designed very much around these very basic core concepts of press the button and the thing happens. But each area is set up more than just the one branch, because each of those branches sort of splits off into different areas. So you can have, say for example, the path that leads to where the Hunter is can split off into 4 separate areas, but you will need different abilities in order to be able to go around to the different places and all that, so that you can eventually get to the ground in which you get Elika to do her magic thing and then spread all the seeds and everything becomes pretty and colourful again. This game does involve quite a lot of backtracking, so you will need to go to previous areas to get light seeds that you couldn't get before because you didn't have the appropriate power to be able to get to the different areas with the different light seeds. And then once you've done all that, you've got the final area, and that will have a big string of challenges where you have to do all this big series of stuff all in one go. The game is fundamentally very easy, but it's a very, very strange game to talk about because it's a game that I do enjoy and I do like it, but it's so hard for me to describe anything in such a way that describes why I do, because when I describe things it sounds like, in some, not all regards, but in some regards it sounds like the antithesis of things that I find annoying in games, such as you can't lose. But then again, I suppose I just like the whole adventure feel of it anyway. It's so hard to describe, and I don't want to go around in circles just me saying it's really hard to describe, but it absolutely is. But I want to talk about a memory that I have in regards to this game and what I associate it with, because I associate this game with my laptop having a virus, because around this time, early 2010, my laptop had this virus where it would every so often just play music, and it was so strange. My laptop, it would just, out of nowhere, at random intervals, would just start playing music. Not music that I had or anything. It would just play like a little bit of instrumental music on a loop. And the bit of music that it would play every time changed. So I'd just be playing the game and my laptop would suddenly go like da da ba da ba ba da da ba da ba da ba ba da, and then it would just do that for like 2 minutes. And then it'd be silent. And I'd be playing more Prince of Persia, and then later on, my laptop would just go like dun 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 ha dun 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 ha. It was the strangest virus that I've known about. I mean, of course, there's bound to be some really, really wacky stuff out there, but from my experience, that was just so weird. But yeah, that's Prince of Persia 2008 for you. Next up is number 181, which is New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. But this is a clump, because at number 180 is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It feels like it's been quite some time since I've done a clump. But anyway, here we are. Now, New Super Mario Bros. Was probably the first game I got on my DS, which I think was around 2007. I got the DS Lite originally, my brother normal DS's, the original model, but I got the DS Lite, a black one. And I've never really been a massive fan of Mario overall in general, I suppose, but I did really get into this game. What I did like is I liked the hidden coins that you had scattered throughout all of the levels. So there was like 3 hidden coins per level and you had to find them. And I liked that. I didn't actually complete this game. I think I got to a point where I struggled too much to get through the levels. And I remember there were some limitations on how often you could save the game as well, because it wouldn't just auto-save at the end of every level. If I'm remembering this correctly, you had to reach a certain point and then use that point to then save your game for you. But New Super Mario Bros. Wii is the Wii rendition, and I remember first hearing about this at E3 of whatever year it was. I don't remember what year it was, but they showed this at E3 saying, look, we've got a Wii version of the New Super Mario Bros. Game. And my first reaction to that was, hey, that's a good idea, get one of these 2D Mario games and stick it on the Wii, that sounds great. And I never owned this game, but I played it on a few separate occasions because my brother owned it, and the first time that I played this game was through my friend Alex from university, and I've mentioned him I think once before when I was talking about M+. He also showed me originally Earth Defense Force 2017, but he actually had this game, or well, I use the word had in quotation marks here because it was one of those hacked Wiis where you could, let's just say unofficially, get games on it, and this was before New Super Mario Bros. Wii was out, so we were actually playing it before release. And I remember we played 2 players and we had this level select code or some sort of level selecting. I don't think he played it through the whole way, or I don't think anyone at that house played it through the whole way, but this was at the final year of university. Yeah, I don't think anyone actually did play it through the whole way, but they had access to all the levels, maybe by hacking, I don't know. But we tried out different levels, and one of the levels that we played was one of the later lava stages where you have this sort of snake thing going in and out of the lava. We played one of the first levels and we're like, shall we just try like the second last level or whatever and see how we do? And it was pretty hilarious because we were like shouting at the screen and he was saying, do not want, every time like the snake thing like jumped into the lava, and then we both shot out into the ending flagpole and then we won the round and we just both started laughing. Oh, that was fun. Number 179 is Duke Nukem 3D Megaton Edition. And I say Megaton Edition because it was the PS3 version of Duke Nukem 3D Megaton Edition I played. Now, I have heard stories about how old first-person shooters are different to new first-person shooters. Although I've never really been into first-person shooters overall. I mean, I've played some, but I've never really been really into them. And especially the old ones, I didn't play first-person shooters back in the old game days. So I really didn't have any experience with those types of games. I know my friend Thomas played Doom. I think he had Doom on the Mega Drive, but I never actually played it. Or, to be honest, I never really had that much interest. But I do remember downloading Duke Nukem 3D onto my PS3, and I think it was because it was on PS Plus. And I'd previously seen Total Biscuit's video about Shadow Warrior, where he talks about how modern FPS have gone backwards. And I like that video, and so I thought, hey, I'll try this game out, and yeah, I like this game. I like the whole thing of having a level where you have this sort of maze-like structure and you do have to go around and find things, and you collect new weapons that you have to find and ammo that you have to find, and it's stuff that you have to build upon and work towards over time, and you have to find your way around these different places. And you have stuff like ammo preservation and just, you know, all that long-term stuff. Whereas you look at, like, you know, the Call of Duties of today, and it's all about you get whatever weapon you're given and you'll regenerate health, so just keep walking forward and shooting, guys. But I did enjoy the amount of this game that I played. I mean, of course, it's Duke Nukem. It's going to have the whole, you know, the whole character of Duke Nukem where he's like a big tough manly man, and as part of the game you have like a strip club and all that. But regardless of all that, I still really did like this game from what I did play. Although I've got to say the version I played allowed save states, and this is another rant as well. Stop allowing save states in these newer versions of these older games. Like, if you're going to release an old game onto a new system, release the old game. Just if you give it save states, you're changing the game. I know people will disagree with that, but this is something I feel strongly about. Number 178 is F1 Race Stars. Yes, I put a bit of a pause between the race and stars because I was going to see if I could fool you into thinking I was putting F1 Race from the Game Boy on here a second time. But no, I guess that joke probably didn't work, but whatever. This is yet another game that I got through PS Plus, and again, I didn't really know anything about this game, apart from it was a racing game, and my approach to racing games is always that you're not really going to go wrong with a racing game. You can look at any other genre. I find that any other genre, you can look at it and you can be easily fooled. You can get mechanics that you just do not want there. Like, you know, I love JRPGs, I love RPGs, and so if someone can say, oh, look at this, it's a JRPG, and then I get Last Rebellion, I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have the things I want. Racing games don't do that. If you have a racing game, it could still be good or bad, but it's still going to be a racing game. Even the worst racing games still have that element of racing in it. I don't find that the games can really be terrible. I find that you can only have a limited range of quality when it comes to racing games. It's a strange thing, and I know that people are going to think I'm talking nonsense, but let's just talk about F1 Race Stars here, which I've stopped myself from rambling on about racing games in general. But F1 Race Stars, it is like a kart racing game, and I have mentioned before that I have a general preference for the non-kart racing games where you are just going round in, I suppose, more realistic terms, where it's more about your ability to position angles and brake at the right time. I generally prefer that, but I have no problem with kart racing games. But what is quite funny is that it's just Formula 1 races. Number 177 is Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands. Now, I played this game after I played the reboot, the 2008 reboot of Prince of Persia, and I like this one a bit better, if you can't tell by the numbers. Now, in this game, you can fail. You can fall down a pit or have all of your health drained and lose and then get sent back. In the other one that I mentioned before, you can't. Although, I suppose that is kind of like a tricky subject, because I think when people say that in a game you can't fail, what they really mean is that the punishment for not doing as well is just lower, which, again, it really varies, because even if you can't strictly have a character like fall over and like have a thing up on the screen saying game over, or have the screen fade away and then come back, any slight hindrance to your progress is technically a punishment. But enough about that. So this is, I suppose, a rather generic platform, adventure, hack and slash type game. What I did like about this game that I preferred over the reboot though is that the powers that you gained actually did have some thought put into them, into how you use them. It wasn't just hotspots where you could go up to a spot and then press the button and then have the thing happen like a key or something. Although saying that with the other Prince of Persia, your actions do have you control them sometimes, but I'm actually talking more about that game than I am talking about the game that I'm on here, so I'm going to stop with that. But for example, the big example that I can think of is that there's one ability where you can freeze all the water, and so there may be parts in the game where you've got these little things spraying out water. You can freeze water and use that ability to grab onto the icicle and use that as a pole so that you can then swing from that and swing across to the next pole, and so on and so forth. You can also turn waterfalls into ice as well. So you might have an area where there's two waterfalls on each side, and you have to freeze the water, and within that time that power is active, jump off the waterfalls as the ice, like in their ice form, so that you can get up onto the higher ledges. Also, you had different elemental attacks that you could level up as you played through the game, and there was also these hidden sarcophaguses, or is it sarcophagi? I don't know the plural, but that was like the main collectible for the game, I suppose. So you just have to go around and find all these hidden sarcophagi. I'm going to say sarcophagi. But the game operates on this, I suppose you could say, strictly linear, strict checkpointing format, where you do reach parts where once you've hit that part you can't go back. So you might have a bit where you hit a slope and then you fall down and then you just can't get back. But it will still always have that continuous progression of going forwards. You won't exit a level and then re-enter at a new level. It's like one big level that you will keep hitting all of these individual checkpoints at. And of course the problem with that is that it makes the sarcophagi missable, so you have to make sure that you do get them all if you want to get 100%. And although puzzle-wise this game doesn't really have that much to it, and it's a short game as well, I do think that they're good enough for me to claim that, you know, I enjoyed this game quite a bit. And I especially liked the final area of the game. Now, one part that at first sort of confused me, I eventually got to grasps with it, was that there's one part where you have like a string of waterfalls all in a row and you have to get from one side to the other, and so it's like you have to jump through the first one, change them all to ice so that you slide along the second one, jump off back to the first, slide along that, jump off, turn them all back to water, go through that waterfall, turn them all back to ice, land on the third one, jump back onto the second one, jump off the second one, all to water, pass through the third, all to ice, grab onto the fourth. If you can picture it in your mind what I'm talking about here, then you will see what I think is a pretty good challenge, and it really does test your abilities like time and get to grasp with the idea of doing things at particular times, and I really like that. But I am going to end this part here. So thank you all for listening. I will see you next time. We'll talk about game number 176. Oh, this series is going good.